All right, we are live. We are back from a trip from San Diego. It was a beautiful time. It was a beautiful time. I'm sunburned, and it was great. All right, let's get back into it. Let's get back. What are we talking about? Oh, my keyboard isn't connected. Bluetooth on. Magic keyboard. And connect. Connect. Magic keyboard isn't connecting. I think the battery's out. Okay. All right. Let's quickly get this going. Allow accessory to connect, and let's see. We are connected. Perfect. All right. We are live. 1 minute late. And let's do this. What are we talking about today? Let's see. What problems can self-driving solve for humanity? Wow, good question. Good question. All right, I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be back in my setup and doing this again. All right, road safety. Human error is a leading cause of traffic accidents, responsible for over 90% of crashes worldwide. Self-driving cars equipped with advanced sensors, cameras, and AI can reduce accidents by eliminating mistakes like distracted driving, drunk driving, or fatigue. They could cut traffic deaths significantly, potentially saving tens of thousands of lives annually in the US alone. Traffic congestion. Autonomous vehicles can optimize driving patterns, maintain consistent speeds, and communicate with each other to avoid unnecessary slowdowns. This could ease traffic jams, which waste billions of hours and gallons of fuel each year. Cities might see smoother flows and less gridlock, especially if paired with smart infrastructure. Accessibility. Self-driving cars could provide mobility to people who can't drive, such as the elderly. This is so interesting. Just like we think about the better tools you have, the better work you can do. The better infrastructure you have, the better things are possible. Similarly, in countries where you have better roads, self driving would just work better because you have a constrained system, a constrained and consistent system that works. A constrained and constrained basically means clear rules. Consistent means it is consistent across the entire geography. Let's say United States of America, you have specific rules. To maintain those rules, you have specific signs on every road, and then you have good consistent roads throughout the country. And that means that's an infrastructure. That means you can have these cars driving on them. But in cities and countries where you don't have a constraint, you don't have rules, you don't have clear rules, you don't have clear, consistent roads and roads throughout that region, it's going to be really hard to have self-driving cars over there. Wow. We can get there, but it's going to be hard. Traffic congestion. Accessibility. Self-driving cars could provide mobility to people who can't drive, such as the elderly, disabled, or visually impaired. Yeah, so the insight over here is that look at roads also as an infrastructure, similarly to how we think about AI. How was AI possible? AI was possible because we had these data centers full of GPUs, high compute GPUs, these machines, these computers that are really efficient, do, who can, who can calculate, who can do a lot of computation. Because we had that infrastructure, which was optimized for gaming, a different use case. Now it was very easy for us to just like channelize that same energy, that same compute on this use case of AI, and we could achieve a lot. And similarly, even though we don't look at roads in the same way, but now we will start looking at roads in the same way. Roads are also infrastructure, just like these NVIDIA chips. Self-driving cars could provide mobility to people who can't drive, such as the elderly, disabled, or visually impaired, granting them greater independence. This could transform lives by reducing reliance on public transport or caregivers. By optimizing routes' environmental impact and driving more efficiently, autonomous vehicles could lower fuel consumptions and emission. If paired with electric vehicle technology, the reduction in greenhouse gases could be even more substantial, helping combat climate change. Commuters spend hours behind the wheel daily. Self driving cars could turn that time into something useful, working, reading, or relaxing, boosting personal productivity and well being. In the US, the average commuter could reclaim over 300 hours a year. Economic efficiency, reduced accidents and congestion could lower costs related to healthcare, insurance, and infrastructure repairs. Plus, industries like trucking could save billions through automation, though this might disrupt jobs, which is a challenge to balance. Economic efficiencies could lower costs related to healthcare, insurance, and infrastructure repairs. Hmm. Insurance, the entire insurance industry would change because now there is no one human responsible for an accident. Who is then responsible for accident? Plus, industries like trucking could save billions through automation, though this might disrupt jobs, which is a challenge to balance. Urban space lead to fewer personal vehicles, say through shared fleets. Parking lots could shrink, freeing up land in cities for parks, housing, or businesses. Some estimates suggest parking takes up a third of urban land in places like the US. Hmm. Who, how will the insurance industry change if every person uses a shared fleet instead of owning a personal vehicle? The insurance industry would undergo a seismic transformation. Here's how it might play out. Shift from individual to fleet insurance. Instead of insuring millions of individual car owners, insurance companies would primarily deal with fleet operators. Think companies like Waymo, Tesla, or Uber. Policies would cover entire fleets, focusing on, okay, this is interesting. Describe the self driving vision of each company. Describe the self driving vision of each company and how they see cities transforming. Okay. Shift from individual to fleet insurance. Policies would cover entire fleets, focusing on commercial liability rather than personal auto insurance. This could shrink the market for traditional consumer policies dramatically. Reduced risk, lower premiums. Self-driving tech promises fewer accidents due to the elimination of human error. If crash rates drop, say by 50% or more, as some projections suggest, insurance payouts would decrease. Fleet operators with data showing safer operations could negotiate lower premiums. The traditional 1,200 annual US auto insurance cost per driver might become a relic. The traditional 1,200 annual US auto insurance cost per driver might become a relic. Data driven underwriting, and insurers would lean heavily on real time data from autonomous vehicles, speed, braking patterns, sensor logs to assess risk. This granular insight could make pricing hyper accurate, but it would also shift the focus from driver behavior to vehicle software and maintenance. Faulty AI or a hacked system might become the new bad driver. Faulty AI or a hacked system might become the new bad driver. Liability overhaul. With no human drivers, the question of who's at fault in an accident changes. Liability could shift from individuals to manufacturers for software hardware failures or fleet operators for poor maintenance. Insurers might offer product liability coverage to tech companies like NVIDIA or Mobileye, while fleet operators carry operational policies. Courts are still figuring this out. Look at Tesla's ongoing autopilot lawsuits for preview. So Tesla already has ongoing autopilot lawsuits. Wow. We need a feature over here for like starting threads, so that I can just go like, okay, tell me more about this, or just mark this. Some way to just mark this. That I want to dive deeper into it maybe later. Revenue squeeze. Personal auto insurance is a $300 billion industry in the US alone. A shared fleet model could slash that as fewer policies are needed. Insurers might pivot to new products like cybersecurity insurance for hacked vehicles or mobility as a service plans tied to usage, but they would be scrambling to replace lost volume. Personal auto insurance is a $300 billion industry in the US alone. A shared fleet model could slash that. Revenue squeeze. As fewer policies are needed, insurers might pivot to new products like cybersecurity insurance for hacked vehicles or mobility as a service plans tied to usage, but they would be scrambling to replace lost volume. Claims evolution. Fewer accidents could mean fewer claims, but when they happen, they might be pricier. A malfunctioning fleet vehicle could involve multi-party disputes. Operator, manufacturer. This reminds me, like right now we're diving kind of into the insurance industry, and this is all new for us. And while I was on this trip, I met some interesting people, and they were all, I kind of learned about something totally new. Like I met this one guy whose job is basically to sell lab rats. So he's basically going to academic institutions, he's going to pharmaceutical companies and other research labs who are all trying to run these experiments, run these biological experiments, uh, around maybe creating medicine, or just like everything around medicine, psychology, everything in that space. And he is going to them and be like, hey, buy our rats, buy our mice, uh, and he also mentioned that there are like the variations, like some companies have just like in products you have SKUs. Over here, they have around 25,000 SKUs. They had 25,000 different types of mice based on those different variations of things that they have been bred with and bred for. I don't even know what I'm saying right now, but that was so interesting. Like you go to these, uh, and there are only five to six major companies that make lab rats, and they are all going out and selling to these same institutions that, hey, buy our rat. And that was a very interesting conversation. I was also like, hey, I forgot what he's responding, but I'm like, yeah, what is the differentiation? Like, you meet someone and you're like, why should I buy your rat instead of the five different companies? And that's where the entire conversation around efficiency and timing and all that comes in. That, okay, if I want to run a test and I want to run on that test on a mice that is 3 weeks old, so can you on time get me something? So that involves a lot of supply chain as well. So can you, when I want to run a test, can you give me at a good cost, at a good price, at a consistent with a consistent reliability, can you get me a mice which is exactly 3 weeks old when I need it? So that's very interesting. Okay, this is something that I also just want to put over here for the record, but a very interesting thing came up to me. Because yeah, sometimes when we look into chat gpt, we are learning about self-driving, we're learning about all these technologies, we are kind of still looking at some of the mainstream things. We are not looking at some of the interesting things that are actually happening in the real world, where that some blind spots that we are just not aware of. And that's interesting. Claims evolution. Fewer accidents could mean fewer claims, but when they happen, they might be pricier. A malfunctioning fleet vehicle could involve multi-party disputes, operator, manufacturer, software provider, driving up legal costs. Insurers would need adjusters skilled in tech forensics, not just fender benders. Fewer claims, but when they happen, they might be pricier. Operator, manufacturer, software provider, subscription models. Insurance might blend into the cost of using a shared fleet, like a monthly fee. Think 10 to 50, $10 or $50 ride subscription covering liability. Cost of using a shared fleet, like a monthly fee. Think $10 off your $50 ride subscription covering liability. This could make traditional insurers compete with fleet operators who self-insure, cutting out the middleman. Insurance might blend into the cost of using a shared fleet, like a monthly fee. Think $10 off your $50 ride subscription covering liability. This could make traditional insurers compete with fleet operators who self insure, cutting out the middleman. This assumes full adoption, which is years of trans. Actually, I also want to ask about vision of self driving technology for a country like India. All right, let's go. Describe the self driving vision of each company and how they see cities transforming. Okay, this is good. Waymo. Waymo subsidiary Alphabet aims to be the world's most trusted driver, focusing on fully autonomous. This is very interesting. It is just one driver. All these cars, these are not different drivers. These are not different machines that are learning in an isolated way. It's just one. Think of a hive mind. Think of a hive mind. All I forgot. I heard about this from someone, but I forgot this is an analogy from a movie where there's a hive mind and all these little bees are just going around the world collecting information, and they are sending that information to this main one brain, which is constantly getting trained, constantly learning from the physical bees, the physical Waymo cars that are all around the country moving autonomously, and feeding all the information back into the hive mind, and the hive mind is constantly learning from billions, whatever, how so much data. And it's just one driver. It's not multiple isolated drivers. It's just one driver that's constantly learning at a massive pace, and it's called the world's most trusted driver. Folks focusing on fully autonomous ride hailing with no human intervention. Their approach relies on a robust sensor suite, LiDAR, radar, and cameras combined with detailed high definition maps and AI to navigate complex urban environments. They're rolling on Waymo One, a driverless taxi service with vehicles like the Jaguar I-Pace that lacks steering wheels or pedals, emphasizing safety and scalability over human-driven alternatives. The biggest leverage that Waymo has is the fact that it is already being used. It's in use. If you go to San Francisco, you can book a Waymo and you can start using it. And there are people who have been already using this technology for last 1 year, and now that this has become kind of their daily thing, they look at it differently. They're like, oh, we already did this. Now what's next? And Waymo has kind of built a lot of trust in their mind. So two things are happening now. Uh, but they also understand, like we also understand that Waymo is going after this problem, is attacking this problem with a lot of investment on a sensory perspective. But Tesla, on the other hand, is like, oh no, we will just do this with cameras. We already have our cars. We are just gonna one day just push that button that's gonna say that okay, all cars just go self-driving mode. And with the existing technology that we have on our car, which is just a simple camera, we are gonna figure self-driving out. So that is very interesting because Tesla has that vision. We know that if that happens, if that happens, Tesla will be the most scalable solution, because you just buy a car and it's a very basic car and you have multiple versions of it and it is self-driving, and already there are millions of Teslas on the road. With Waymo, the difference is it's not highly scalable. It can scale, but it's not highly scalable. It requires a lot of investment. But the pro is it's already out there and it's already proving to people that this is how self-driving works, and it works. It is a beautiful experience and people are building a lot of trust with that brand. So this is a very interesting problem. It's like either, I forgot, what is it? Innovator's dilemma? Innovator's dilemma. So either one day Tesla will make that step function change and press that button and automatically be the final solution, or Waymo will slowly incrementally get there by reducing, trying to make it highly scalable. So Waymo's problem is to make it scalable, make their existing infrastructure scalable, and Tesla's problem is that just figure this out. It's just 0 or 1. If they figure it out, it's good. If they don't figure it out, they have to change the strategy. It has to be the Waymo way. Waymo sees cities evolving into safer, more efficient hubs. They imagine a future where traffic accidents drop sharply, potentially by 90 or more percent, based on their safety data showing 88% fewer property damage claims compared to human drivers. Congestion could ease as their vehicles optimize routes and communicate seamlessly, reducing the need for parking lots up to 30% of urban land. That could be repurposed into green spaces or housing. Their expansion to cities like San Francisco, Phoenix, Austin, and Atlanta suggests a networked model where shared fleets dominate, decreasing personal car ownership and fostering cleaner, less cluttered urban landscape. This is good. I know Tesla's vision was very much like, hey, remove all these massive parking lots that are just lying there doing nothing. And we want to make them into more green spaces where communities and people come together. Tesla, led by Elon, hinges on achieving full self driving through a camera only system powered by neural networks and massive real world data from its fleets. Unlike Waymo, prioritizes a generalized solution for individual ownership, aiming for level 5 autonomy, fully driverless in all conditions without relying on LiDAR or pre mapped routes. The Cybercab, a steering wheel less robotaxi and Variant 24, hints at a dual strategy: personal car that double as income generating taxis. A glorious future where cities shed parking lots for parks as self-driving Teslas drop owners off and either park themselves or join a robotaxi network. He predicts urban sprawl could shrink as travel becomes cheaper, potentially $1 per mile versus $2 with human drivers. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, already if you can afford an Uber, it is if if you can afford an Uber, that is such a great way to just move around the city because you don't have to worry about number one, owning a car, paying the insurance, maintaining that car. Number two, paying for the parking space. Number three, once you start driving, wasting a lot of time in making constant decisions about driving, which are a lot of mental. It causes mental fatigue when you have to drive through a lot of traffic and you're constantly making a decision and you are using up your brains a lot in these decisions such that you cannot think bigger. And then number three, number four would be then going and finding a parking spot. Most of the times, if you're driving to a downtown place which is densely populated, it's really hard to find a parking. And with all this complicated rules, it's even harder. And then hoping that if you park, you don't, and then paying for the parking over there at your destination and hoping that you don't get a ticket. So there's so many things with driving a car, owning a car, that this technology is trying to solve for, encouraging denser. And yeah, that's the reason why Uber just makes so much sense. Like, yeah, if I just want to go from point A to point B and my car usage is just like 10 times throughout the month, then I'll just get an Uber all those times. It doesn't make sense to have a car. Encouraging denser walkable cores. Traffic could smooth out with AI-driven efficiency, though the focus on personal ownership might slow the shift away from car-centric cities compared to shared fleets. Focus on personal ownership might slow the shift away from car-centric cities compared to shared fleets. That makes sense. Like so many cities are car-centric. We keep expanding the highways. We keep making the suburbs further and further from the main city, but instead we just want to make a highly dense human community where people can, and just walkable cities where people can walk around for everything they need. They have spaces where they can hang out and meet other people. That's really important. Increasing denser walkable cores. Traffic would smooth out with AI-driven efficiency, though the focus on personal ownership might slow the shift away. Okay. Bold timeline: FSG widely available by 2025 suggests rapid disruption, though skeptics point to past delays. Uber's self-driving strategy has pivoted from in-house development abandoned in 2020 after selling its unit to Aurora to partnerships, notably with Waymo. They aim to integrate autonomous vehicles into their app, offering driverless rides alongside human-driven ones. Uber's approach is less about building the tech and more about leveraging its vast ride-sharing network to deploy others' autonomous solutions like Waymo's fleet, starting in cities like Austin, Atlanta in 25. City transformation. Cities becoming more accessible and fluid with autonomous fleets cutting costs, no driver wages, and boosting ride availability. CEO Dara has highlighted a go anywhere, get anything ethos, suggesting urban mobility hubs where people rely on Uber for transport and delivery, reducing car ownership. Partnering with Waymo, they envision safer streets and less congestion, though their hybrid model mixing human and AI drivers might delay a full shift. Cities could see gradual land reclamation from parking, but Uber's focus is on convenience or radical redesign. Go anywhere, get anything ethos. Tech approach. Waymo's multi sensor mapped system contrasts with Tesla's vision only adaptive AI, while Uber outsources the tech entirely. Ownership is sharing. Tesla pushes personal cars that moonlight as taxis. Waymo and Uber bet on shared fleets. Urban impact. Waymo and Uber lean toward dense shared mobility cities with less parking. Tesla's vision accommodates sprawl, but could still green urban cores if robotaxis take off. Each sees cities safer and less car dependent, but Waymo and Uber prioritizes fleet efficiency, while Tesla bets on individual empowerment. The reality will likely blend these visions shaped by tech progress, regulation, and public adoption. Vision of self-driving technology for a country like India, tailoring it to the nation's unique challenges and opportunities. Dense population. How can self-driving technology solve the problem of AQI, of air quality in India? Let's see. That would be interesting. And economic disparities. Here's why self-driving tech could evolve and transform India, drawing from the principles of companies like Waymo, Tesla, and Uber, but adapted to the local context. Vision for self-driving technology in India. The vision will blend shared fleets with affordable autonomous vehicles, prioritizing adaptability to India's unpredictable roads. Unlike the pristine highways of the US, India's streets feature a mix of pedestrians, cyclists, rickshaws, cows, and potholes. The tech could rely on a hybrid of Tesla's camera-driven AI for real-time adaptability and Waymo's LiDAR mapping for precision and chaos, trained on vast datasets of India's traffic patterns. Companies could partner with local players like Tata or Mahindra to build cost-effective rugged vehicles. Think electric auto rickshaws or compact vans designed for autonomy. Wow, okay. Deployment. Start with control zones. Tech hubs like Bangalore, Hyderabad, or Gurugram, where infrastructure supports testing. Shared fleets operated by ride hailing giants like Ola or Uber India would dominate cities, while rural areas might see low cost autonomous cargo vans for last mile delivery. Over time, okay, this one question came to my mind, which is how has EV EV vehicles helped with the self-driving vision? Okay, that's a good question. Core approach. Companies could partner with local players. Okay, start with controlled zones, while rural areas might see low-cost autonomous cargo vans for last-mile delivery. Over time, expand to tier 2 cities like Pune or using modular systems at scale with road improvements. Transformation of India, traffic chaos to order. India's roads are notorious. Over 150,000 traffic deaths yearly per 23 data, and hours lost in jams. Mumbai's 65% congestion rate. Self-driving vehicles could cut accidents by navigating obstacles with precision, optimizing speeds, and coordinating via vehicle-to-vehicle communication. This is also interesting. It's very interesting. Like if you think about cars and what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to carry a human from point A to point B. There's a lot of fat over there. If you think about a Range Rover, Range Rover is supposed to carry a person from A to B, but it is taking so much space. It's a metal box which is really wide and really tall, and it's taking so much space. If the goal is to efficiently get from point A to point B and avoid congestion, and everybody just cares about speed, then we will really try to cut down all the fat from a car so that it can navigate traffic with precision. And instead of two lanes, if the cars are made in a way such that it's the least amount of fat in the car, just carry the person, we could actually have three lanes we could actually create a new lane from the two lane system that we have. So just mean carry more cars. So it's not congestion. It's just being more efficient with these modular systems and just getting the task done more efficiently. Today, we are getting the task done, but because we want a lot of status attached to it, it affects the efficiency of getting the tasks done. Wow. Wow. So interesting. Self driving vehicles could cut accidents by navigating obstacles with precision, optimizing speeds, and coordinating via vehicle to vehicle communication. Imagine Delhi's gridlock easing as fleets avoid bottlenecks, though they would need to handle stray animals and hawkers, a tech challenge unmet elsewhere. Affordable mobility. With 80% of Indians lacking personal vehicles, shared autonomous fleets could democratize transport. A ride in a driverless rickshaw might cost $10 to $20 per kilometer, cheaper than human driven options due to no labor cost. Subsidies or public private partnerships could bring this to slums and villages, shrinking the urban rural divide. Economic boost. India's $3 trillion economy relies on logistics. Trucks clog highways delayed by human error. Autonomous freight could slash costs and delay speeding goods from ports like Mundra to inland markets. Urban jobs might shift. Drivers over 5 million could transition to fleet maintenance or tech roles, though reskilling could be critical. Cleaner air. India cities choke on pollution. Delhi's AQI often exceeds 300. Electric self-driving fleets paired with India's renewable energy push 500 gigawatt target by 2030 could cut emissions from transport, which accounts for 14% of the nation's carbon footprint. Optimized driving would further trim fuel waste. Space and infrastructure. Parking eats up urban land. Think Mumbai's premium real estate. A shared fleet model could reduce car ownership, only 22 cars per 1,000 people now. Even further, freeing space for affordable housing or parks. Roads might need less widening if traffic flows smarter, though upgrades like 5G for vehicle communication would be key. Rural reach. Autonomous mini buses for delivery drones could connect remote villages, over 600,000 of them, to markets and healthcare. Picture a self driving clinic van reaching tribal areas in Odisha, or farm produce hauled from Punjab without a driver. Rural reach. Definitely more greenery, more parks, less parking lots. Wow, we will move from parking. Oh, sorry. We'll move from parking to parks. Parking to parks. Challenges to overcome. Road reality. Unmarked lanes, monsoon floods, and jaywalkers demand AI far beyond Western standards. Training models on India's chaos would take years and massive data. Cost. Even $1 lakh vehicles are steep for more. Subsidies or micro leasing could help, but profitability might lag. India's Motor Vehicles Act doesn't yet cover autonomy. A national framework balancing safety and innovation would be urgent. Public trust. Skepticism runs high. Auto rickshaw drivers might protest and passengers may fear tech glitches. Pilots with human backups could build confidence. The big picture. By 2035, India could see cities like Bangalore with driverless pods zipping through tech corridors, rural Rajasthan with cargo vans feeding supply chains, and cleaner air nationwide. Companies might emerge, say, an Ola Autonomous or Tata Waymo tie up. Ooh, Tata Waymo tie up. Okay, okay. I love that Grok is already giving a bunch of recommendations. Ola Autonomous or Tata Waymo tie up. It's interesting how Tata it tried to go for Tata Waymo. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds like a Maruti Suzuki. You just two names that make sense. It just sounds good. Tata Waymo. Tata Waymo. Wow. Blending global tech with local grit. The vision isn't just safer roads, but a reimagined India, mobile, equitable, and less burdened by transport woes. Significantly improve air quality in India by tackling the root cause of transportation, transport-related pollution, inefficient driving, fossil fuel reliance, and traffic congestion. Transition to electric fleets. Self-driving vehicles in India would ideally be electric, cutting out tailpipe emissions of pollutants like PM 2.5, NOx, nitrous oxide. and CO2, which dominate India's transport sector. Autonomous tech pairs naturally with EVs. Companies like Waymo and Tesla already prioritize electric platforms, and India could follow suit with locally made options. Tata Nexon EV adapted for autonomy. In cities like Delhi, where transport contributes up to 30% of PM 2.5, a shift to electric self driving fleets could slash this share. If 50% of urban vehicles went autonomous and electric by 35, emissions could drop by millions of tons annually. Assuming scaled production and battery affordability, India aims for 30% EV adoption by 2030 already. Optimized driving for fuel efficiency. Self driving AI optimizes speed, acceleration, and braking, reducing the stop start chaos of India's roads. Human drivers waste fuel in traffic. Idling in Mumbai's jams burn 20 to 30% more fuel. Autonomous vehicles using real time data and vehicle to vehicle communication maintain steady flows and shorter routes. Studies suggest autonomous driving can improve fuel efficiency by 15 to 30%, even if not full electric, hybrid, or CNG powered. Autonomous fleets could cut emissions of black carbon and PM10, key culprits in India's smog, by reducing wasteful driving. Reduce traffic congestion. Fuel efficiency, electric fleet, reduce traffic congestion. Congestion amplifies pollution. Vehicles in Delhi's traffic jam emit up to 2.5 times more pollutants per kilometer than in free flow. Self-driving fleets, especially shared ones, could coordinate to avoid bottlenecks, maintain optimal spacing, and reduce the total number of vehicles on the road. Imagine a fleet of autonomous rickshaws replacing half-hourly driven ones. A 20% reduction in congestion, possible with smart fleets, could lower emissions by 10 to 15% in urban centers per traffic modeling. Less idling means less PM 2.5 and NOx, directly easing India's AQI crisis. Delhi's winter peaks often hit 400 plus. Fewer vehicles, lower emissions. Shared autonomous fleets could cut the need for personal cars, which, though only 22 per 1,000 people in India, still clog cities. A single self driving pod could serve multiple passengers hourly, unlike the 1.2 average occupancy of private cars. Pair this with the last mile solutions like autonomous e bikes or scooters. If a car ownership dropped 30% in cities like Pune or Chennai, replaced by fleets, vehicle emissions could fall proportionally. Fewer engines running means less cumulative pollution, critical when India's urban vehicle count nears 60 million. Integration with renewable energy. Self driving EVs could sync with India's renewable energy goals, mostly solar and wind. Fleet operators could charge during off peak hours using green energy, reducing reliance on coal powered grids that indirectly worsen air quality via electricity generation. If 70% of autonomous fleet energy came from renewables, the life cycle emissions of transport could shrink further, potentially halving the sector's carbon footprint over decades, while PM 2.5 from power plants also dips. Off peak hours using green energy, reducing reliance on coal powered grids. Practical steps for India. Pilot zones launched in cities with decent infrastructure, using electric autonomous shuttles to prove air quality gains. Policy push: subsidize EV fleets and mandate zero emission zones in polluted hotspots like Kanpur or Patna, encouraging adoption. Local tech, adapt AI for India's roads, monsoon muck, stray dogs, and all, ensuring reliability to maximize efficiency gain. Current state: transport emits 300 million tons of CO2 yearly in India, plus vast PM 2.5 loads. Delhi's air kills 30,000 annually. A 2035 scenario with 40% autonomous EV penetration could cut transport emissions by 20 to 30%, with PM 2.5 reductions of 25% or more in cities per global EV autonomy studies adjusted for India's scale. Challenges: cost. EVs and autonomy tech are pricey. 10 to 15 lakh per vehicle, 5 lakh for a diesel cab. Subsidies and scale are key. Grid strain. India's grid is 60% coal powered without renewables. EV charging could shift pollution upstream. Convincing a price sensitive population to trust driverless fleets over cheap human driven options takes time. Picture Delhi in 2035, autonomous electric pods glide through smoother traffic, replacing smoky tempos. AQI drops from 300 to 150 on bad days, not perfect but livable. Rural Punjab sees cleaner delivery vans cutting diesel haze. Self driving tech alone won't fix India's air. It needs cleaner industry and dust control too, but it could slice transport's dirty share. Okay, so what has EV done? Simplified vehicle architecture, powering high performance computing, cost synergies and fleet economics, environmental alignment, data and software optimization, urban design synergy. Okay. Self driving visions often imagine cities with fewer parked cars thanks to shared fleets. EVs enhance this. Smaller footprints, no engine bulk, and quiet operation fit dense urban redesigns. Charging infrastructure can double as fleet hubs, unlike gas stations. Waymo San Francisco pilot sees EVs parked less, freeing space as they shuttle passengers. Tesla Cybercab could roam cities, charging at superchargers, reducing parking needs. In India, compact EV pods could weave through narrow streets, amplifying urban efficiency. Data and software optimization. EVs are inherently software driven. Battery management, regenerative braking, and power distribution are already computer controlled. This overlaps with autonomy's need for real time software updates and data collection. Tesla's fleet, with over 2 million EVs on road by 25, gathers petabytes of driving data, refining FSD's neural network. Battery management, regenerative braking, and power distribution. Tesla's EV first approach gives it an edge. Each car sold doubles as a data node, unlike retrofitted ICE vehicles. Waymo uses EV platform to streamline software integration, ensuring sensors and AI sync without legacy hardware lag. This data flywheel accelerates autonomy breakthroughs. Environmental alignment. The self-driving vision often pitches sustainability, fewer accidents, less congestion, greener cities. EVs amplify this by eliminating tailpipe emissions, making the narrative more compelling to regulators and the public. Governments offer EV incentives. US tax credits, India's FAME 2 subsidies indirectly funding autonomous R&D. Waymo's zero-emission mobility branding ties its electric fleet to climate goals, easing permits in cities like Los Angeles. Tesla's Musk ties FSD to a renewable future, boosting public buy-in. In polluted India, EV autonomous combos could win policy support to tackle air quality, as noted earlier. Cost synergy. EVs cut operating cost. No gas, less maintenance, which aligns with the shared fleet model central to many self-driving visions. Waymo One, Uber's partnership. Autonomous fleets aim for high utilization, 20 plus hours per day, and EVs lower per mile cost, 5 cents versus 15 cents for gas. Waymo's all-electric fleet in San Francisco leverages EV savings to offset the high upfront cost of autonomy tech. Tesla's Cybercab robotaxi concept doubles down. Owners could own revenue via a driverless network subsidized by EV efficiency. Simplified vehicle architecture. EVs have fewer moving parts than internal combustion engine, no transmission, exhaust, or fuel systems. This simplicity reduces mechanical failure points, making it easier to integrate and maintain the complex electronics needed for self-driving tech, sensors, computers, wiring. The Tesla Model 3, for instance, is built from the ground up as an EV with autonomy in mind. Its centralized computer architecture supports over-the-air updates for full self-driving. The Tesla Model 3, for instance, is built from the ground up as an EV with autonomy in mind. Its centralized computer architecture supports over-the-air updates for full self-driving. Companies like Waymo and Cruise can focus engineering efforts on autonomy rather than wrestling with legacy ICE complexity, speeding up development cycles. The Jaguar I-Pace used by Waymo exemplifies this. Its EV platform seamlessly hosts LiDAR and radar without retrofitting hassles, powering high-performance computing. Self-driving systems demand massive computational power, think 10 to 20 kilowatt for real-time processing of camera, LiDAR, and radar data. EV's high-voltage battery packs. 400 volts in Tesla, 800 volts in Porsche Taycan deliver this energy efficiently, unlike ICE vehicles where alternators struggle to supply beyond 1 to 2 kilowatt without compromising the engine. Tesla's FSD hardware, with its custom neural net chips, thrives on the EV's abundant power, enabling on the fly decision making. Waymo's fifth gen system, running on Chrysler Pacifica hybrids initially, shifted to fully electric I-Paces partly for this reason: sustained power for autonomy without fuel trade offs. Interesting. Real world evidence shifted to all electric Jaguar I-Paces by 21, citing EV reliability and power for its fifth gen autonomy stack. Cleaner, quieter operations. Tesla, every Model 3Y sold since 2017 has FSG hardware, leveraging EV batteries and software to push toward level 5 autonomy. Cruise, GM's autonomous unit uses electric Chevy Bolts, cutting cost and emissions in San Francisco trials. Reliability, fewer breakdowns means autonomous systems stay online. That's so interesting. It's just a better technology for fueling a car because it leads to low maintenance, less error rates. Scalability, EV cost declines, battery down to $100 per kilowatt hour by 25, making mass autonomous deployment feasible. Public perception, EV's green halo softens resistance to driverless tech, keep key in skeptical markets. What is the latest update on FSG? Let's see. Tesla's FSG reflect a mix of progress, challenges, and strategic shift. Current status, version 13. Has been out for several months, promises a significant leap in performance, basically 5 to 6 times increase in miles between critical disengagement compared to 12.5, according to Elon. It only achieved roughly a 2x improvement, moving from 200 miles to 400 to 495 miles between disengagement. This stagnation has raised questions about its trajectory, while some suggesting Tesla may be redirecting resources elsewhere. Performance metrics. Own benchmark for unsupervised FSG is 700,000 miles between collisions, aligned with human driver averages per NHTSA. A target V13 falls short of. This indicates FSG remains a supervised level 2 system requiring constant driver oversight, not yet ready for full autonomy. Recent developments. China rollout. Tesla China has pushed FSG updates for both Hardware 3 and Hardware 4 vehicles over the air, pending regulatory approval. A paused 1-month FSG trial was also set to resume, with HW3 validation reportedly nearing completion by mid-April 25. This marks a rapid expansion effort in the world's largest EV market, though it's not branded as full FSG and lacks some US features. Australia and New Zealand, the latest software build for these regions shows an increased autopilot bank size from 1.65 GB to 2.6, hinting at FSG inclusion, likely for shadow mode testing, where the system runs in the background to collect data without active control. Release could be imminent. Cybercab and V14. Tesla is gearing up for its Cybercab, robotaxi, and wheeling, with focus shifting to FSG V14. June 25 launch in Austin. The ride-hailing service will use an internal Tesla fleet with teleoperation support resembling Waymo's model, a departure from Musk's earlier promises of unsupervised FSD in consumer cars. teleoperation support. Strategic shift. Goalpost moving. Critics argue Musk is reframing FSD's narrative after years of promising unsupervised autonomy for customer vehicles since 2016. Tesla now emphasizes geo-fenced teleoperation supported ride-hailing service. This pivot could claim a win in autonomy without delivering on the original vision, especially as HW3 owners face uncertainty about upgrades to meet full autonomy specs. A notable incident showcased FSG supervised avoiding a pedestrian collision, reinforcing Tesla's autonomy safety pitch. However, US regulators opened a probe in October 24 into 2.4 million FSG equipped vehicles after crashes in low visibility conditions, questioning its reliability. Sentiment and outlook. Stagnation concerns. Some observers note V13's lack of exponential progress, with engineering focus possibly shifting to V14 and Cybercab. Tesla's data-driven approach, billions of miles logged, continues, but the gap to unsupervised driving remains wide. Global expansion. Efforts in China, Australia, and beyond signal ambition, but regulatory and technical challenges temper the pace. FSG update for HW3 and HW4 vehicles will be available via OTA. Still some way to go. Will the 3x model size and 3x model context lens scaling be enough to go unsupervised, or is a further iteration required? Status of FSG improvements pending. Audio inputs for better handling of emergency vehicles, much improved reward predictions for falling traffic controls, navigation improvements to false braking and slower driving in parking lots, support for destination options including pulling over, parking in a spot, driveway or garage, efficient representation of maps and navigation inputs, improved handling of camera occlusions. Start FSG from park with a touch of a button, integrated unpark, reverse and park capabilities, much improved reward predictions for collision avoidance, improved camera cleaning, redesigned controller for smoother, more accurate tracking, dynamic routing along road closure, which displays them along an affected route when they are detected by the fleet. What key startups are working towards the vision of abundance of energy? Let's see what we get. Clean, reliable, and affordable energy is widely accessible, relies on startups pushing boundaries in renewable storage efficiency and next-gen technologies. Commonwealth Fusion System, CFS, focused nuclear fusion. Why it matters. Form Energy, Sublime Systems, NPAL, Octopus Energy, Helion, Fellas, Found Energy. Long duration energy storage, low carbon cement production. Whoa. Cement making emits 8% of global CO2. Sublime uses electricity, ideally renewable, to electrochemically produce cement, slashing emissions. Raised 40 million 23, scaling pilot facilities. They are targeting industrial adoption by 2030. Abundance angle, decarbonizing heavy industry with clean energy ensures abundance doesn't stall on hard to abate sectors. Fusion promises a near limitless zero carbon energy by mimicking the sun's power source. CFS aims to make it commercially viable using high temperature superconducting magnets, shrinking reactor size and cost. Raised 1.8 billion in 21, one of the largest clean energy investments ever, and targets a working plant spark in the late 2020s. Well, late 2020s. The tech could deliver gigawatts of power without the waste or meltdown risks of fission. Fusion could flood the grid with cheap, clean energy and transforming global supply. Long duration energy storage. Renewables like solar and wind are intermittent. Forms iron air batteries store energy for up to 100 hours at a fraction of lithium ion cost, smoothing out supply gaps. Secured 450 million in 22 and is deploying pilot projects with utilities like Excel Energy. Their first commercial system is slated for 25-26. Cheap, scalable storage unlocks 24/7 renewable energy, making abundance practical beyond sunny or windy days. Hmm. Cheap, scalable storage unlocks 24/7 renewable energy, making abundance practical beyond sunny or windy days. Sublime systems. Low carbon cement production. Cement. Okay, we got this one. NPAL. Solar as a service. Leases solar panels and batteries to homeowners with no upfront cost, bundling maintenance and energy management. It's scaling renewable access fast. Germany's first clean energy unicorn, valued over 2 billion with 65,000 systems installed by 24, expanded into Italy. Oh yeah, like European countries that are really hot, you got to use the solar energy over there. By removing financial barriers, NPAL spreads solar energy to millions, decentralizing abundance. Spreads solar energy to millions, decentralizing abundance. Octopus energy, smart grids and renewables. Octopus uses AI via its Kraken platform to optimize energy distribution, integrating wind, solar, and EV charging into a flexible grid. Serves 3.5 million UK homes with 100% renewable power. Raised 800 million in 23 and is expanding globally. Texas, Japan. Abundance angle. Smart grids balance supply and demand, making abundant renewable energy reliable and cost effective. Helium energy. Pulsed fusion approach directly generates electricity, no steam turbines, aiming for a compact, affordable design using deuterium and helium-3. Raised 500 million in 21 with a 1.7 billion extension tied to milestones. Plans a power plant by 28 with Microsoft as its first customer. Direct electricity from fusion could flood markets with cheap power, bypassing traditional infrastructure limits. FELAS, liquid air energy storage. FELAS stores renewable energy as compressed liquid air, offering a scalable, low-cost alternative to batteries for long-term storage. Raised 4.1 million 24 seed funding, developing modular systems for grid operators and industry. Abundance angle. Affordable storage ensures renewable energy is available anytime, anywhere, amplifying its reach. Found energy. Aluminum-based energy. Found converts aluminum scrap into hydrogen and steam via corrosion process, providing portable carbon neutral energy for heavy industry and shipping. Aluminum scrap into hydrogen and steam via corrosion process, providing portable carbon neutral energy for heavy industry and shipping. Emerged from MIT, raised 12 million 23, testing modular fuel packs, turns abundant waste into energy, decoupling supply from finite sources. Fusion Surge, CFS and Helium led a pack of 30 plus fusion startups fueled by 6 billion private investments in 21. Success here could redefine abundance. Storage innovation, Form and FELAS tackle the intermittency bottleneck critical as renewables hit 30% of global power. Decentralization, NPAL and Octopus push energy to the edges, rooftops, homes, reducing reliance on central grids. Okay. What are the key startups working towards the vision of age of abundance? So abundance in everything, let's see. World of plentiful resources, energy, and opportunities, rather than age of abundance in a different context. Yes. Oh, Tesla, autonomy division. Blending EV efficiency with autonomous tech. Self-driving EVs could slash transport costs, reduce accidents, and free up urban space, hallmarks of abundance. Tesla's vision includes a shared fleet model amplifying resource efficiency. Pioneering a pulse fusion system that generates electricity directly from deuterium and helium-3, skipping traditional steam turbines. Iron batteries for long duration energy storage at low cost. Compact fusion reactors using high temperature superconductors to deliver near limitless clean energy. We'll look into this one more. Sublime, producing cement via electrochemical process. Octopus. Sublime ensures abundant building materials without environmental cost, supporting urban growth. Mobility. Tesla and Waymo redefine transport, making it safer, cheaper, more efficient, freeing time and space for human flourishing. Tell me more about Commonwealth Fusion Systems (CFS). Nuclear fission, a practical abundant energy source, founded in 2018, spin out of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center, Devens, Massachusetts, backed by a mission to deliver clean, limitless power to the world. Working on a tokamak, a donut-shaped fusion reactor that uses magnetic fields to confine and heat plasma to fusion temperatures over 100 million degrees Celsius. The flagship product Spark aims to be the first fusion device to achieve net energy, producing more energy than it consumes, while their follow on, Arc, is designed as a commercial power plant. Unlike traditional fission, splitting atoms fusion fuses light nuclei like hydrogen isotopes to release massive energy with no long lived radioactive waste or meltdown risk. Key innovation: high temperature superconductors. CFS leverages high temperature superconducting magnets made from rare earth barium copper oxide (REBCO). These magnets operate at 20 Kelvin, still frigid but far warmer than the near absolute zero temps of older semiconductors, making them cheaper to cool with liquid helium. HTS magnets. HTS, high temperature superconductor magnets, generate magnetic field up to 20 Tesla, double the strength of ITER's, the International Fusion Mega Project, in a much smaller footprint. This shrinks the tokamak size from a football field scale behemoth to something closer to a large garage, slashing construction costs and timelines. Technical approach: Spark, a proof of concept reactor targeting a Q factor greater than 1, energy out more than energy in, aiming for aiming for 50 to 100 megawatt of fusion power. It's fueled by deuterium and tritium abundant hydrogen isotopes. Arc, the commercial version, expected to deliver 200 to 400 megawatt to the grid, enough for a small city. Arc builds on Spark but adds a molten salt blanket to capture heat and breed tritium fuel. Spark construction began in 21 with first plasma targeted for 25 to 26. Arc could follow in the early 2030s if Spark succeeds. Funding and backing. Investment: CFS raised 1.8 billion in a Series B round in December 21, the largest single private investment in fusion to date, plus earlier rounds totaling over 250 million. Backers include Breakthrough Energy Ventures, Bill Gates, Tiger Global, and Equinor, signaling heavy hitter confidence. Whoa. 1.8 billion December 21. Earlier rounds totaling 250 million. Collaborates with MIT, leveraging decades of tokamak research, and has ties to Eni, Italian energy giant, for industrial know-how. Progress as of April 25. Tested a full-scale HTS magnet, achieving a 20 Tesla field, called the most powerful of its kind by experts. This validated their core tech. The Devens facility is operational with construction advancing. Recent updates sparse but optimistic suggest that they're on track for 2025 first plasma. The fusion projects often slip. Over 500 employees, including fusion vets like Bob Baumgard and Dennis White, MIT co-founder. MIT co-founder? Bolster execution odds. MIT co-founder. What? Why CFS stands out? Traditional fusion is too big and slow. CFS ITER costing 65 billion in decades. CFS's compact design targets cost closer to 5 to 10 billion per plant, still pricey but competitive with new nuclear or renewable over time. Speed, aiming for net energy this decade and commercial power next. CFS is outpacing government-led efforts like ITER, not due until 2035 plus. ARC's modular design could proliferate fast if proven, unlike one of mega projects. Challenges ahead. Physics, achieving sustained net energy is uncharted. Spark must hit precise plasma conditions. A single failure could delay ARC. Tritium, DT fusion needs tritium, which is scarce and must be bred in reactors. CFS's molten salt plan is promising but untested at scale. Competition. Helium, general fusion, and TAE technologies are also chasing fusion with different approaches. Pulse versus tokamak. CFS isn't alone in the race. Fusion lacks a clear licensing path. US NRC talks started in 24, but delays could stall deployment. Abundance vision. If CFS succeeds, fusion could deliver gigawatts of clean power per plant, enough to power cities like Mumbai or Boston with zero carbon emissions. At scale, energy costs could drop to pennies per kilowatt hour, fueling industries, desalination, and even hydrogen production. Imagine India's grid now 60% coal flipped to fusion, air quality soars, scarcity fades. Globally, CFS could unlock an energy surplus powering AI transport like self-driving EVs and beyond without climate trade-offs. The big picture: CFS is a high-stakes bet on fusion's holy grail. They have got the tech, cash, and brains to pull it off, but the finish line's still a leap. Sparks 2025-26 test will make or break if it works, or could herald an energy revolution by 2035. Wow. Okay, let's see the website. Oh, the world's largest leading commercial fusion energy company. A breakthrough for commercial fusion energy. Founded on values that guide our mission driven team. Devens, Massachusetts. Technology. Spark. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Proving commercial fusion energy is possible. Arc. Wow. Wow. Looks like the Large Hadron Collider, putting fusion energy on the grid. Arc is designed to be commercial, flexible, and familiar. Arc will be compact, will be safe, will be affordable, abundant, ubiquitous, and cheap. More than a power plant. It is the foundation for a future of clean, scalable energy that meets global demand while reducing humanity's carbon footprint. Early customers will have an edge in the energy transition, while owners, investors, and developers will benefit as ARCs grow from early deployment to dominating the firm power industry. Humanity's power move.
Humans are wired to keep moving, keep inventing, keep pushing what's possible. Our potential is limitless, but our energy isn't. The gap is widening every day. The transition to fusion energy is the answer. It's urgent, it's inevitable, and it's our mission to deliver it. Combining decades of research, top talent, and new technologies, we're designing and building commercially viable fusion power plants and driving the movement that's needed to build the energy industry of the future. Because if we're going to change the trajectory of humanity, we must move now. Move fast, move smart, move together. Not in incremental steps, but a giant leap to limitless energy and infinite potential.
Beautiful. Okay. Really hope that they figure this out. What are what companies have shown the most progress towards nuclear fusion? Actually, what was the thing? Fusion towards. Let's see actually what we get. Companies have shown the most progress towards nuclear fusion. Let's see. Significant strides. Viable energy source. Why they lead. made waves with its compact tokamak approach using high temperature superconducting magnets. Spark reactor under construction. Demonstrate net energy gain Q greater than 1 by late 25-26. Critical step toward proving fusion's feasibility. Their follow-on arc plant targets grid-scale power in the early 2030s. Successfully tested a 20 Tesla HTS magnet, strongest of its kind, validating their core tech. They have since broken ground on Spark and secured a site in Virginia with Dominion Energy for ARC, showing a clear path to deployment. With $2 billion in funding, including a record-breaking $1.8 billion Series B, they are well resourced. Helion, General Fusion, Zap, sheared flow, stabilized Z-pinch design ditches magnets for simpler current-driven plasma column. Their Fuse Q device achieved fusion in 23, and their Century prototype operation in 25 targets higher performance. Secured 130 million in 24, totaling 327 million, with backing from Chevron and Shell. They're pushing for a demo plant soon, claiming their compact magnet-free tech could hit the grid by the early 2030s. CFS leads in funding and infrastructure, with Spark's imminent test as a make or break moment. Helion excels in commercial traction and speed, betting on a niche approach. They offers a long-term vision with a neutronic upside backed by steady progress. General Fusion bridges physics and engineering with a practical twist. Zap pushes simplicity and affordability, gaining momentum fast. General Fusion, magnetized target fusion, uses a liquid metal wall and pistons to compress plasma. Their Lawson Machine 26 in British Columbia, hit a record 600 million neutrons per second in 25, showing fusion conditions at 100 million degrees Celsius. Raised 325 million 24, with plans to break even by 26, and a commercial plant by mid 2030s. Partnership with UKAEA and Canadian Nuclear Labs bolster their credibility. Ex-Blue Origin CEO Bob Smith joining as an advisor in 25 adds strategic heft. Okay. General Fusion. Helion. Unconventional but fast moving. Their Trenta reactor hit 100 million degrees Celsius in 21, and they are now building Polaris, aiming for net electricity by 28. Net energy on net electricity. Raised 1 billion, including 425 million in a 25 Series F round, signed high-profile deals like a 50 megawatt power purchase agreement with Microsoft for 29 and a 500 megawatt plant for Nucor steel making. Nucor. Their ability to generate electricity directly, no steam turbines, sets them apart. Aggressive timelines and commercial contracts signal confidence. Tay Technology pursues a neutronic fission. They're now working on Copernicus, targeting net energy in mid-2020s. Whoa, this is old. Mid-2020s, okay, so 25, okay. 1.3 billion raised, including 250 million in 22. Investors like Chevron, Google. Has longevity, founded 98 innovation. They've logged over 200,000 plasma shots, refining their beam-driven FRC tech. Copernicus could pave the way for their Da Vinci commercial reactor by the early 2030s. Let's check out General Fusion. I've heard about this company before. Bringing fusion energy to market. Market momentum meets global carbon goals. Clean energy, everywhere, forever. Wow. Okay. Perfect. All right. That's the stream.